What's going on, everyone? Just going to do a market outlook for this coming week. We'll start on Euro USD. The market has opened, but we're about an hour and a half of London open, so that's all I focus on personally. So we'll have a look on the daily on Euro. We've taken out this daily high, and now we're starting to get some movement to the downside. So more or less, we'll find out in the next coming days if this is a break of structure and inducement, and if we're willing to take the market lower, or if we're going to continue higher. So this will tell a lot over this week, but we'll jump down to a lower time frame and kind of have a look what the go is here. So what I'll do is this is a daily high that's been taken. Beautiful. Been taken here. So daily high gone. After we've got the daily high taken, we've kind of pulled down, pulled up, and given ourselves a medium inducement. So a 15-minute inducement here, which indicates that change of direction. So if we do medium inducement on the top here, so beautiful, really good take of liquidity up there. And as you can see on the 4 hour, we've obviously got low, high, low, high, low, high. We've now induced that liquidity here. If I can actually get that there, and that was confirmed as a break. So I'll do as an internal break here with that retest pull up here, which has now been taken. So we've got a really strong point sitting here now. So we're going to have a little bit of indecision in the market as we come into that. So we've got that there. Really good sweep of liquidity here that has led to more or less this break or inducement here. So like I said, bit of indecision, but in the meantime, we've actually pulled down to an external 4 hour point and we've tapped it perfectly. So a bit of indecision. We're acting from this 4 hour point to the downside, as well as coming up to a really good demand point. So I've jumped straight down to the 15-minute here, and I'm going to use that to mark that out there. Don't want to grab too much of a big point, so that's 11 pips. We'll see what the hourly provides. Hourly provides too much of a bigger point, but more or less that area, we might even use the 30-minute point, is a really good supply point given what we've taken here. So quite clean. So what I'm kind of expecting on EU coming into this week is multiple opportunities. So given that we're reacting from this 4 hour demand, you would expect that this 4 hour demand, given the liquidity we've also taken into that point, there is a higher chance we blow through this point here, which is quite clean. So more or less, I'm expecting the inducement of this high. From there, we're either going to continue to the downside and push through this point. So it's either quick inducement, continued down, or what I'm kind of expecting is a bit of a break for price to retest this area, confirm that break, and then continue to the upside and more or less come for these highs. So both options are valid and very quite nice. So jumping down to the 15-minute, we'll see what we have intra-session for the day. Like I said, we've broken through that external low here. More or less, we've got internal break and a bit of retest here, which we've blown through here. So we've actually confirmed, given that that's the case, we've confirmed this pullback into this point. As you can see, very slow too. Kind of expecting pull into here. Induce of this point, continue lower. Based on the 15-minute, we may actually get something like that. But we've got that really clean break there. We've then pulled down to not take liquidity. It looks like it's going to give us this break. So these equal lows here will be of high importance in terms of liquidity area that we can come target, probably come London open to come target those. Further down to, you've got a consume point that sits here. You've got a little bit of imbalance that sits here also. So I'm going to mark out this entire area. This area, like taking that retest, taking that 4 hour retest, holds a lot of value. So we should get a reaction through these lows. So if I'm coming to take a trade coming in London session here, which is more than capable of doing, Asian highs taken as well, Asian low targets, looking at that kind of daily cycle coming to take those lows, which is quite clean. So really nice on AU and on EU, and I'm kind of happy to ping pong price in between here, depending on what we're doing. Like I said, we're acting from this 4 hour point, but we've still got a bit of imbalance sitting in here and can come lower in that point as well. So really quite nice on EU. What happens this week will definitely tell us if we're back on for sells, filling heaps of this imbalance. Yeah, which we kind of need to know. But You know, obviously very bullish. We've had a bit of a slowdown here. It necessarily doesn't have to come take this imbalance this week, so that'll tell us to go there. We'll jump on GU and see if GU gives us a little bit more information. On GU, we know, like we've discussed in the group, that we've taken into this point here. Really nice extreme demand of this range. We've now pulled up and we're actually in a 4-hour point. So I'm just going to mark out the 4-hour point itself. It's the high here. Okay, reason this holds so much weight is you've actually got break, retest, push, it's then retested up, broken here. The retest here has taken really important liquidity. It's taken bigger retest of a range, really good inducement that's led to a low. We've then retested and actually had an inducement into the mitigation here. So we've created really good liquidity, good inducement into the mitigation of this area here. And now we're obviously getting that push down. Now, on the opposite end of the market, bullish, we've had a really good take of liquidity here, break, retest, pushed. We've then blown through this really clean point here. So this had taken liquidity, and this was the start of last week, which was quite nice. And now we've come further, just like EU, into this 4-hour point. So this is a huge inducement that I think will have enough value to actually come and take these highs. So GU may actually indicate to us that price is going to push these highs. I would expect relatively a quick reaction too, like it's kind of doing now. So catching that's going to be a bit interesting, but it's taken this point, held a lot of liquidity in it. So I can imagine that, you know, that is actually highly likely come into the week, but we'll obviously see what happens. So on the hourly, we've blown through that point, like I said. We've then had break and no internal retest as such. So this point here, I'm expecting to get blown through, more or less. Whether you look at it as like a smart money trap or a weak supply, I'm expecting that to more or less get blown through. And I imagine the 15-minute kind of provides us with that value as well. So break, yeah, I'm expecting this to get blown through. So I'm kind of small reaction, quick push through here. I don't really want to sell from this point. Yes, this point is responsible for a 4-hour low take, and we did have the take of retest as well into that. But given what we've come into and what we've taken, it's highly unlikely that this point will hold. You may get a small reaction to the downside, but I'm expecting the bigger reaction to the upside to kind of move the market and be in control of that. So we'll see what it does with that. But like I said, happy to sell off the take of that high, which is really quite clean, because this here we've got has a really good internal break of structure. Just mark that as a line. And then we've got a supply area that sits up here. We do have lots of order flow to come target at the top here, so you may find it wants to go higher. Like I said, this point holds lots of value. If anything, coming into the week, I'm kind of looking for a retest and break and working internally here to continue with that bullish momentum. And you know, come sessions and timing, we may look to sell down to that, but more or less targeting the top of this point today. I'll go on the hourly and just see if I missed anything as such. Nah, this has got equal highs here, so this liquidity is quite important given that that was the internal retest hourly. So this is a huge magnet for price here. So I'm expecting price to come up there this week and come up to those equal highs. Whether or not we then reverse from that supply area, given the 4 hourly, it actually makes sense to continue higher. So very unlikely we'll return and reverse from that area. I'm more or less expecting something like that, maybe coming into this area, because on the 4 hour we actually didn't tap the point perfectly. So the point's up there. Sorry, on the 4 hour, the point's actually here. That's our area of supply. We haven't tapped it. So highly likely we come and take that, which is quite clean. So let me delete those drawings, but that's my outlook for GU. Now in terms of AU, which is the third pair we're looking at, let me delete all those drawings here. On the daily, we've had a big sweep of this weekly low here. We've then had a daily sweep here that's led into this break here. Now, we're not sure if this is break or not, because we're still hoping for price to give us that follow through here and really continue with this liquidity we've taken to the upside, but it's not doing that very quickly at the moment, so that's completely fine. If we look on the 4 hour, we've actually got break, retest and push, so it's kind of confirming ahead of time that this is our range and we're going to continue like that. Whether or not that's the case, we're getting a bit of selling pressure from the top here. This did react out of a point to the left. As you can see, we've got break and really nice inducement into this point over here. I just don't think this point will hold long term. Could be wrong, but if I was to try and kind of tell the future with price, which we can't do, I wouldn't expect that to hold long term, but it'll always be good to target that point long term. So we've got that break there. We've got a really good supply to demand that's sitting there, which we've actually manipulated price internally. We've then got break, really nice liquidity to come target here. This was my target last week, but we never actually came down to that point, which is a bit of a shame. So looking internally, if we look internally the opposite direction, this didn't lead to a break, so what we've actually done is just induce further, and we actually came into, there's a 15-minute point that sits here that we've come into, so more or less internally working bearish, externally working bullish, and we're trying to ping pong price in between, seeing what we get. So really good inducements up. We've come down to this low now, so this did lead to a big break. We've induced this low perfectly here, really cleanly actually, so nice inducement. It's looking like it is an inducement, so we may actually come take, there's a bit of equal high liquidity here, which kind of holds value in terms of the external price. So really good manipulation here to get more sellers in. There'd be a lot of money sitting in the market at the top here, which lines up with EU and G, what we were looking at. So 15-minute, what have we got? We've got obviously this external break here. Make sure I mark it out correctly. Here we've got really nice area of retest and liquidity we've taken here, but we've retested and pushed to the upside. So this is confirming a retracement from me right here. And if we look, this area of supply, yes, we did break an hourly low. We have reacted out of this point and haven't given that reaction we want yet. We've manipulated price internally. You've got break, retest. We've actually taken 15-minute liquidity in here. We've then mitigated that area down here and continuing to push. So at the moment, buyers are in control. If we look internally the opposite direction and kind of mess with price a little bit, that's kind of our first break, which we've pulled up here, pulled down, break, which then we've broken through this low here. We've then pulled up in here and mitigated. So this area shouldn't hold, and it's actually given enough value now. So neither should this area here. So coming into the session and coming into the week, I actually want to buy AU through this area and kind of target this high. It can stay in here as this is a form of decisional area, but we've got basically this entire area, which I'm kind of come target. So what I'll do is I'll mark that as a smart money trap, so a weak supply, and I'm kind of looking to sell off. My first area of selling, higher time frame on the 15-minute, is this area here. To add into that type of outlook, we've got equal highs here that holds a lot of weight in price, funnily enough, and like I said, these are breaks, so it's following internally and externally on the 15-minute. So what I'm kind of expecting from AU is a bit of a reaction off of here, buy through here, take that liquidity. You've got order flow, trend line, all types of retail liquidity to then sell long term down to this area here to possibly buy from this extreme demand upwards. So buys, sells, and then we'll kind of see what happens from there. So that's the outlook for the week. Any questions, let me know, and let's have a good week.